Welcome to the Alease Project. This space is a living libation, a place where we pause long enough to remember, to honor the ancestors whose names we know, and to the unnamed who still walk with us through time. Here we speak gratitude into the air. We acknowledge the footsteps that came before us, the prayers whispered in kitchens, the strength carried through fields and cities, the courage that made our lives possible. This project exists in honor of my great-grandmother Alease and my grandmother Beulah May, and to all the ancestors whose quiet endurance became the foundation we now stand on. So wherever you are, take a deep breath with me. Allow your shoulders to soften and let the noise of the world fall away for a moment and join me in this offering for the forgotten. Today we pour libation for the forgotten, for the ancestors whose names were never written down, for the ones whose stories were never recorded, for the lives that shaped generations without recognition, to the men whose labor built roads, built homes and cities, yet whose names were never placed on plaques. We remember you. To the women whose hands raised families, prepared meals, healed wounds, and steadied communities, without history ever acknowledging their presence, we honor you. To the ancestors who lived and died before cameras, before archives, before anyone thought their stories were important enough to preserve, we see you now. Some of you existed in records that were lost. Some of you existed in records that were never created. And some of you were deliberately erased. But existence does not require documentation. You lived. You breathed. You loved. You struggled. And because you lived, we live. To the unnamed midwives who delivered life into trembling hands. To the unnamed farmers who coaxed food from stubborn soil. To the unnamed laborers who worked until their backs bent so future generations could stand up straight, we acknowledge your contribution. History often remembers leaders, but bloodlines are sustained by ordinary courage, by quiet endurance, by everyday survival. To the ancestors who crossed oceans unwillingly, to the ancestors who walked miles seeking safety, to the ancestors who stayed rooted in land even when everything around them changed, we recognize your journey. You may not have statues. You may not have books written about your life, but your presence lived in our bones, in our features, in our instincts, in our resilience. Some of you are remembered only through fragments, a photo here, a recipe there, a family story told once every few years, but even fragments carry truth. To the ancestors whose names were shortened, to the ancestors whose language was taken, to the ancestors whose identity was reshaped by forces beyond their control, we acknowledge your humanity. You are not invisible. You are simply unrecorded. And today we record you in memory. We speak to you with dignity. We offer gratitude to your spirit. We recognize the countless decisions you made that allowed the bloodline to continue. You endured storms we will never fully understand. You navigated worlds far harsher than our own. You adapted. You survived. You continued. Because of you, the chain was not broken. Because of you, the breath continues. Because of you, the story moves forward. To the ancestors whose names are known And to the ancestors whose names were lost in time, you are equally worthy in remembrance. And today we expand the circle of memory. Today we acknowledge the millions whose lives mattered even if history forgot to write it down. May your spirit feel recognized. May your spirit feel peace. May your spirit know that the generations after you are beginning to remember. Your lives were not small. Your lives were foundations. And today we place gratitude upon those foundations. To the forgotten, to the unnamed, to the erased, we remember, we honor, we rise. Ashe. Thank you for joining me in this offering today from the Alease Project, a space where remembrance becomes a living practice, where gratitude becomes a ritual, and where the ancestors are never forgotten. If this moment resonated with you, carry it forward. Speak the names of your elders, known and unknown. Honor the ground beneath your feet, and remember that you are a part of a story far older than yourself. Until next time, may your path be guided by those who came before us. Ashe.